Indiana Jones versus Nathan Drake, two of the best treasure hunters on the planet, two men who are constantly ready to get their hands dirty in the name of discovery. Well, they're going at it today. But who's ultimately gonna come out on top? And really, is it even gonna be close? Let's get into it. Renowned archaeologist, professor, and Nazi hater, Dr. Henry Indiana Jones is the world's greatest adventurer and part-time archaeology professor. He's been the star of 5 movies, but since he's going up against 2 video game characters today, we'll be using a composite version of Indy. So that means movies, his TV show, books, comics, games, all of that. And buckle up, because the composite Indiana Jones goes crazy. Indy isn't just a renowned archaeologist, he's also a trained and gifted soldier and intelligence agent, effectively defeating the Nazi regime twice all by himself. He's surprisingly strong. He's regularly been able to one-shot people during fights. He's regularly been able to knock over stone walls or heavy gates or locked doors, or some much more surprising stuff, like some legit multi-ton feats we've got here. He's also ridiculously tough. Indy has taken quite the beating before and lived to tell about it. And not just from like the big mechanic, I'm talking about being mauled by a bear, battling against demons or giants. He's okay after having bombs dropped on him or being hit with flamethrowers. Is it really no surprise that Indiana Jones was able to survive a nuclear bomb and walk away completely unfazed? And you better believe Indy is lightning quick too. He's been able to dodge bullets, dodge swarms of arrows, regularly outreact people. He's even able to dodge dragon fire or outrun a tiger. He's also a skilled and capable fighter, able to go toe-to-toe with assassins, beat down soldiers and thugs, even take on whole groups of opponents all by himself. With his trusty bullwhip, which Indy says he knows it so well that it's just an extension of his body. Well, he can instantly disarm people, whip and slash them, and claims that he can cut people so efficiently that it's just like using a knife. Indy is also a skilled shot with his trusty pistol, and definitely isn't afraid to pull it out and just start blasting. Nathan Drake is a fortune hunter and thief, and even though his quest for the ultimate treasure of gold and riches always seems to elude him, Nate makes some incredible discoveries and usually ends up saving the world along the way. From his many adventures and exploits, Drake has proven himself to be in top physical condition, to the point where he's able to put people down with just a couple of punches, or even break necks like it's nothing. He's able to climb anything, routinely catches himself from falls with just one hand. He's very strong. But where he really shines is his durability. For just an average human, Nate is able to keep on going after an astronomical amount of damage. He's able to keep on going after being shot. He's routinely survived long and oftentimes very dangerous falls. Then there's 2 instances that really highlight Nathan's incredible durability. First off, he survived wandering around in the desert for 2 days straight without food or water. When he finally stumbled across a ruined town, he encountered a whole swarm of enemies and was able to defeat them all. Secondly, after being shot in the gut aboard a train that derailed and is now dangling off a cliff, he was able to catch himself and climb up the train, then proceeded to take on an entire group of soldiers, all while bleeding out and surviving in freezing temperatures. Yeah, my boy is tough. Though he doesn't have any kind of formal training, Nathan is an incredibly skilled melee fighter and great with a gun. He's able to kill men twice his size, take on whole groups of enemies all by himself, even defeat highly trained fighters, or actually take out armored vehicles. Then on top of that, one thing about Nathan Drake is that he's a very lucky man. Maybe the luckiest man alive. He survived some ridiculous things that can only be attributed to luck. And some game developers have even said that as the screen grows gray, it isn't his health running out, it's his luck, meaning that he's closer to getting hit and going down. So who wins? Well, let's break it down. Now, if we're talking physicality, surprisingly, both of these guys are superhuman. I'm not even kidding. Indiana Jones and Nathan Drake are both superhuman. Like even in just the movies, not in the video games or books or extended lore, Indy is able to do stuff like knock over massive statues. He hung onto the side of a Nazi submarine for miles and miles and miles, or even threw a skewer so hard it straight up impaled someone. And that was all in the movies. In the comics and video games, he's lifting massive multi-ton objects, wrestling against alligators and giant squid, just regularly one-shotting people with his punches. Indy was straight up able to overpower Mola Ram, the same guy who can rip out a person's heart with his bare hands. But for all that, Nathan Drake isn't really that far behind in the strength department. He's able to push around large rocks with ease. He's able to push around multi-ton statues, and is strong enough to deal with the Yeti Guardians of Shambhala. So yeah, Drake is real strong too. And both of them are superhumanly tough. Nathan Drake's been shipwrecked. He survived plane crashes where the plane just exploded in midair. He's been lost in a desert with no food or water, and was still strong enough to single-handedly wipe out a whole army. He survived point-blank grenade blasts. He's even survived getting shot in the gut, having the train he was in derailed and sent careening off a cliff in the Himalayas, and yet managed to climb out of the train before it fell off the cliff and was still able to fight off a search party with no problems. Nathan is nothing if not tough and resilient. But look at Indy. Not only is he able to take a whole lot of attacks and beatdowns, not only is he able to survive falling off waterfalls, not only is he able to survive plane crashes, the man straight up survived a nuclear bomb. He hid inside a refrigerator, was launched miles up into the air, and got out completely unscathed. He's the more durable one, no question about it. They're also both very fast. Both Indy and Drake are confirmed bullet timers. Nathan can outrun a collapsing bridge, while Indy can outrun a tiger. They're able to dodge rockets and electric blasts. Both Indy and Nathan are certified superhumans. Now, what you can say is that Nathan Drake is actually a pretty competent hand-to-hand fighter. Just from what we've seen in the games, he's regularly been able to hold his own. Now, Nate has no real formal hand-to-hand or martial arts training. Instead, he seems to get by more on brawling than anything else. And aside from throwing wild haymakers and the like, Nate is willing to use objects like pipes, bottles, dirt off the ground, even his own guns as melee weapons in order to get the upper hand. Drake still can be outmatched when someone with more skill shows up, but he's usually able to hold his own more often than not. And as for Indy, well, the same goes for him. He's pretty skilled at beating up on just about everyone. He's won fistfights against entire groups of opponents on many occasions, even when fighting barehanded against multiple opponents wielding swords. He was taught how to shoot by none other than Teddy Roosevelt, the President of the United States. He's won shootouts against multiple enemies at once who are wielding better firearms. He's even accidentally killed 3 men at once with 1 bullet. Of course, he's also willing to fight dirty, such as by throwing sand in his opponent's eyes or bringing a gun to a sword fight. But more often than not, he's bringing a whip to a gunfight. And his skill with his whip is extraordinary. He's demonstrated enough precision to disarm opponents precisely and constantly is able to snare the end of the whip around different objects. But while Indy is amazing with his whip, it's still going to be kinda hard for him to compete when Nathan Drake is running around with his AK-47. Sure, Indy has fought against the AK before. It was developed by the Soviets after World War II. But Drake is a crack shot with it. Just the AK is inherently more powerful and deadly than Indy's whip and his revolver. But the biggest thing for Drake here is just his sheer luck. Sure, Indy is pretty lucky too, but Nathan almost has a supernatural power for good luck. Kinda like Domino from X-Men. Things just seem to always fall his way, and I think that's what's gonna ultimately give him the edge here. Both are famous treasure hunters. Both have made amazing discoveries, gone on countless adventures, and I think Indy would give Drake an amazing and a very close fight. But ultimately, Nathan Drake has killed over 1,000 people on his adventures. He's single-handedly taken on whole armies all by himself. And in a fight, well, I gotta give him the edge. Nathan Drake wins. But what do y'all think? Sound off in the comments down below. I know you're gonna have thoughts and feelings on this one for sure. If you stuck around this long and made it to the end of the video, that's amazing. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting us. And if you want to go subscribe, well, go subscribe. You're going to see more videos like this one every single week. I'll see y'all then. I'll see y'all next time.